My guess is since you've taken the initiative to learn Adobe Audition, you're going to want to learn how to use your microphone. And if you can't use your microphone, it's going to be awfully frustrating. So let me go over these basics with you now so you know. If you want to adjust your input, so your microphone, and your output, generally your speaker, all you have to do is hit Adobe Audition over here. So what you'll do is hit the Adobe Audition button and go down to Preferences. Now, depending on what operating system you use, this may change up a little bit, but you will usually have this. Adobe Audition CC is the version I'm using. Otherwise, find Preferences in your menu over here. When you go down to Preferences, you'll see a bunch of different options. You'll have Audio Hardware. This is usually where you'll go and set your input and output. You can also just hit General if you'd really like. Gen will open you up the same menu and you can check everything, and then you can go back down and hit Audio Hardware. So one more time, let me walk you through it. Adobe Audition, Preferences, Audio Hardware. So once we're in Audio Hardware, we need to look at a few things. What you're going to be focusing on is your input and your output. The output is where the sound is coming out of, and your input is what you're putting the sound in with. So generally, I'm using my Yeti stereo microphone right now. If your main microphone that you want to record with is not selected, make sure it's plugged in. And once it's plugged in and your computer recognizes the device, what you want to do is hit this. It's a drop-down menu, and select the microphone you're using. For me, again, it's the Yeti stereo microphone. Now, for your default output, my built-in output is my built-in speakers, and I tend to use that for my output. But you may be using a pair of headphones. You could be using perhaps your audio setup in your studio. Then you'll choose your default output as whatever that is, and make sure that is plugged in and that your computer recognizes it. Now, sometimes I'm going to go over sample rate for you. This is the sample rate for input and output devices, and it's the hertz that it's being processed at. And what I recommend you do is, if you choose your microphone and it says that the sample rate does not match, simply hit this button and change it. There's usually two options. It's usually 44,100 or 44,100 or 48,000. And if I hit the sample rate of 44,100, it says that my device settings cannot be applied because of the following error, and my sample rate is not supported by my current audio device, and that's my stereo microphone. So all you have to do is select the sample rate that matches your default input. And the way you know that is if it works, perfect. If your microphone isn't working, go back into that menu and just change the sample rate to the other option. As simple as that. Here's your input, here's your output, and this is your sample rate that you'll only mess with if either you're creating an audiobook that demands that you do that, for example, ACX or Audible, or your microphone isn't working. It's probably your sample rate. Okay, so running through it one more time before we end this lecture, hit Adobe Audition, go to Preferences, Audio Hardware, and adjust your input and output. I can't wait to see you next lecture. I promise it'll pick up and get more fun.